G'day expats, I'm Jason, an Australian expat living in Ecuador with my partner Michelle and our family. Our channel, Expats Ecuador, provides guides on living and travelling in Ecuador from a modern Ecuadorian family. Please like, subscribe and share this video if you can, it does really help us. Today's video is all about Bitcoin. You know, that new technology-based currency that has everybody talking, including your cousin who would just not shut up about it. Now they've bought their second Ferrari, you've decided, you know what, it's actually time to have a listen. And I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. The price of Bitcoin has recently passed $50,000 and we're getting a lot of questions from family, friends, other expats about how we're buying and selling Bitcoin in Ecuador. So in this video, I am going to show you 3 different ways to buy and sell Bitcoin in Ecuador. But before we get into the how, I do want to just touch on 2 very important points. Firstly, is Bitcoin even legal in Ecuador? You see, there's been a lot of confusion in the past because the previous government did have plans to introduce their own state-based cryptocurrency. And they really didn't want any other type of crypto like Bitcoin interfering with those plans. And so they found it just easier to put a blanket ban on any type of cryptocurrency that wasn't their own. Now, those state-based plans for cryptocurrency never eventuated, and that government got kicked out, and the new government has released official documentation that says that it is not illegal to buy and sell Bitcoin in Ecuador. So that's great, we're allowed to trade it. But they also said that Bitcoin is not to be used as legal tender. So that means that you can't just go down to the shops and buy some bread or even a Tesla with Bitcoin or other types of cryptocurrency. So I guess you'd call the official status here as illegal, which effectively means that you're not going to get punished for trading it, but you can't use it as legal tender. The second point I want to make is that it's really up to you whether or not you should be trading Bitcoin or any other type of crypto. Because honestly, I'm not here to convince you that Bitcoin will replace the US dollar anytime soon. What I can tell you is that cryptocurrency market is extremely volatile. It rises very quickly, but it comes down just as quick, if not quicker. And so that means that there's a lot of trading opportunities because of that fluctuation in price. Now, if you're interested in learning technical analysis in how to better time your entries and your exits, fantastic. I will put some resources that are very beginner friendly down below, but that is not the point of this video. Let's get into how to buy and sell Bitcoin in Ecuador. I am going to give you 3 options for trading Bitcoin here, but first you really need to know that Ecuador is not a technology powerhouse. There is a small tech scene here, but you really aren't going to find a lot of global technology companies that have based themselves here. Now, this also means that there's really not that many options for trading Bitcoin like you were going to find in more established ecosystems like those found in the United States, Canada, Australia or Europe. Now, in fact, you may find it considerably easier to buy Bitcoin using an exchange in one of these countries if you are able to. Now, by this I mean you have a passport or some sort of ID that's going to satisfy that exchange's KYC or know your customer requirements. Now, if this is you, then it just may be much easier for you to start your Bitcoin journey with an established exchange like Coinbase, rather than trying to work out how to buy and sell crypto in Ecuador. But let's assume that you do have some US dollar here. Now, if not, then check out our guide on how to transfer money into Ecuador. And let's also assume that you want to buy and sell in Ecuador. So here's your 3 different options. First option is local Bitcoins. This is my preferred way to trade crypto here in Ecuador because it's what the locals tend to use. That means that you're going to get some pretty good rates, at least here for Ecuador. So how does local Bitcoins work? Well, it is a little bit different to a normal exchange. In a regular exchange, you're going to give them your money and they're going to put that into one pool, and then you're going to use that pool to buy and sell whatever crypto you feel like. But in a peer-to-peer exchange like local Bitcoins, you're going to be trading directly with someone else. So for example, let's say you want to buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you need to find someone on the other side that's willing to sell you $10,000 worth of Bitcoin at a price that you're both comfortable with. The other thing that's a little bit different about local Bitcoins is that they act as your escrow provider. Now, this is a super important function because it stops you from getting scammed. So in this previous example, say you wanted to buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you found someone that's willing to sell it to you at a price that you're comfortable with, you send the money to them, but they decide they don't want to release that Bitcoin to you. What do? Well, under normal circumstances in crypto, you're pretty much screwed. There's no central authority that you can go running to and say, hey, this person did the wrong thing. Can I have my money back, please, sir? No, sorry, that doesn't exist. And so it's a really important safety mechanism, and it's really what separates local Bitcoins from just trading with some guy on the street. With local Bitcoins, the sellers are the ones that nominate how they want to be paid. Here in Ecuador, the two most common banks that people use are Banco de Pichincha and Banco. They're both popular banks here, and they're pretty easy to open an account at. And I do recommend that if you want to use local Bitcoins, that you open accounts at one or both of these banks. Why? Because it's just going to decrease the overall processing and transfer time for trading. If you don't use one of these banks, what can happen is that it can take 24 hours for the money to clear, but then it's going to take another 24 hours, not another 24 hours, but it might take 4 or 5 hours for that Bitcoin itself to be transferred. And so you really want to make this process as quick as possible for peace of mind, but also the market moves quickly. And so you don't want to be hanging around with this trade in the air for a couple of days and you don't know what price movement is doing this entire time. So I do recommend having one or two of those banks. But in saying that, local Bitcoins, it's not all perfect. There are some downsides to it, and I'm going to run through two of those with you right now. The first one is the limits. As you're trading with someone else, you're really relying on them wanting to buy or sell at the amount that you want to buy or sell at. Now, this can be difficult in Ecuador. What I find that it's really tough to find someone that is willing to sort of buy or sell more than $1,000 or $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now, this is great if you're just starting out, but once you start to get a little bit of experience and you want to trade some slightly larger amounts, it does get a little bit more difficult just to find those people. And the second thing is a little bit difficult is the spreads. So I would classify local Bitcoins as having a large spread. And what that means is that the spread is the difference between the lowest selling price and the highest bid price. Now, what this means is if you have a very large spread, it's just very hard to make consistent money over a long period of time because there's a lot of difference that you need to make up. So it can be tough to consistently outperform the market with local Bitcoins because of the spread. Not impossible, but just a little bit more difficult. So no, local Bitcoins is certainly not perfect, but I have found it to be the most accessible and the most reliable option here in Ecuador. The second option I have is Ecuador's only crypto exchange, Capitalica. Capitalica is really flying the Bitcoin flag here in Ecuador. On top of the exchange where you can buy and sell, they also have a Visa card that you can load up with crypto and you can go down to the shops and spend it the same as you would any other Visa or credit card. Now, whilst I love what Capitalica are doing for the Bitcoin ecosystem here, the main reason that I don't use them day to day as my main trading method are the fees. They're really quite high. As an example, for buying Bitcoin on Capitalica, you're going to pay 1% in fees. For selling, you're going to pay 0.5% in fees. But as some sort of comparison, on other exchanges like Binance, you're going to pay 0.1% for buying and selling. And so that's basically 1/10 of the fees that you're going to be paying to Capitalica. And I think that's just for the exchange. If you want to try and convert US dollar to Bitcoin through Capitalica, I think there's another like 5% fee on top of that. So all up, that's like 6% in fees. So that really adds up over time, and it just makes it harder to be profitable. So for example, if you buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and you've already paid 6% in fees, then you need the price of Bitcoin to increase 6% before you're even in break-even territory. So yes, you can definitely do it if you're more of a swing trader, i.e. making trades over longer days. But if you're trying to do some sort of day trading, it's going to be quite difficult with those fees stacked the way that they are. Now, but in saying that, it's still the best option if you're looking for an actual exchange in Ecuador. My third option, and perhaps the most simple, is just finding someone in your local area to trade with. For example, here in Cuenca, there is a guy that owns a little tienda up near Park San Sebas who has a big sign out front that says buying and selling Bitcoin and all other types of cryptocurrencies. I've gone in there and I've talked to the guy, and his rates actually seem very fair and reasonable. They're very similar to what you're going to be paying on local Bitcoins, but you have the advantage of being able to go in there in person to make the transaction. I like doing it this way because I can feel the other person out a little bit, a lot of nuances that you can only sort of pick up in person, and any sign, any red flag, then I'll be out of there super quick. Why? Because I like being able to do the trade in person, but you don't have the ability to have any sort of escrow when it's in person. So if I walked in there with a bunch of money, wanted to buy some Bitcoin, gave it to him, but he didn't release that Bitcoin to me, I'm in a really tough situation there, especially because I'm an expat, gringo in Ecuador, and the wheels of justice here, they don't move super quick. So my recourse of going through the courts to try and get that money back, it would take a long time, quite costly with legal fees as well, and it's just not a position that I would ever want to be in. So if you are going to use this method, I do highly, highly recommend that you start off very small, slowly build your way up until you're comfortable with both the other person, like can you trust them? But secondly, you need to be comfortable with the process. So the confirmation time for actually Bitcoin passing from one wallet to another, you need to be comfortable that that can take hours, and you're only going to know that once you start getting into it. And what you don't want to be doing is making a big trade and then have your heart beating whilst this Bitcoin is just sort of floating, and is it or is it not actually going to hit your wallet? So start off small and then slowly work your way up. So there's my 3 options for trading Bitcoin here in Ecuador. Have I missed any of your favorites out? If so, please let me know in the comments below. And please, if you can, like, comment, and share this video. It really does help a lot. And lastly, if you do happen to be trading Bitcoin in Ecuador, feel free to ping me, especially if you're in Cuenca or close by. Perhaps we can geek out over a beer at some point. Ciao, chicos.